Welcome back to Cultivating Paradise. I hope you're all well and you've had a beautiful week. I'll be honest, I'm feeling a little tender, a little tearful, a little emotional. You know how it goes. So we're going to spend this video in my happy place. Where else? A place where I haven't spent nearly enough time this week, mostly thanks to gloomy grey weather and other things keeping me busy in life. Yesterday was the summer solstice, although here in Bedfordshire it wasn't exactly sunny. In fact, it may have been the gloomy weather and the fact that I haven't spent much time in the garden that's contributing to my feeling a little blue this evening. That and the fact that we are heading towards a full moon, and I usually find the full moon does have a big impact on my emotions. And over the last couple of years, I've really learned to just go with the seasons, go with the flow. But regardless of what the weather is doing, June is upon us. And with June comes the most glorious of blooms. But before I show you those, if you caught my video last week, you will have seen that I found myself a rabbit friend. I did indeed get a telephone call from the vets who confirmed he did have a microchip and is now safely back with his owners, which means I can get back to focusing on these beautiful babies. So as the sun sets here in Bedfordshire, I can see a lot of work that I have yet to do. The garden is looking wild. And this excites me. I kind of like things a little on the wild side. The blooms seem to have come out of nowhere. First there was the roses, which surprised me with their colour. I was expecting a burgundy or a deep red, and what I got was this hot pink that reminds me of a really beloved pair of shoes that I had back in my heyday. So the roses were already planted before I arrived, but they are among one of the very few plants that were already here. Since then, I have planted so very much, and I continue to experiment and plant more, sow more seeds. I've noticed as a new gardener, I have a tendency to feel a little disappointed in some of my endeavours and the outcomes of such. For example, the salad box last week was looking a little disheveled. Much of my lettuce had wilted, loads of spinach had wilted, it was overgrown and just looking a little in need of some TLC, and I did manage to get out there and get planting, and I've sown some more lettuce seeds, some radish and some spinach. I've also managed to get round to creating something out of this old pallet that I picked up. Just by sanding it down and painting it in the same colour as the shed, it seems to have a nice new lease of life, and I have planted a couple of herbs that I picked up in the garden centre. In the last couple of weeks, my neighbour has put up a new fence around their property, which is much larger and gives me a little more privacy. At first, I was marginally shocked because in the process of building the fence, they took out a nice little row of self-seeded poppies. Hopefully they'll come back again next year. But in many ways, I'm kind of delighted with this new fence, and I'm already excited about working on the beds alongside it and seeing if I can grow anything up it. So if you have any ideas on what I can grow that might climb or vine that I can plant soon, do let me know. Another option that I've gone for, primarily for solving my issues of not having enough space to plant in, not wanting to dig, and not wanting to spend my life fortunes on compost, is to grow things in cardboard boxes. So I've been really careful to take all the tape off and all of the plastic and just leave myself with a plain box. And I've filled that up with compost and manure and planted a few things. I've planted a borage in one and I've planted some tomatoes in another. My hope is that at the end of this grow season, the cardboard will just become part of the earth and will compost down so that I end up with a new bed in those areas. But we shall see. It's all experimental. As I said, I feel very influenced by moon cycles and nature's cycles in general, and I recognise the full moon to represent a time of harvest, which is super exciting because it certainly is literally a time of harvest for me this month in my garden. I have Broadbeans bursting out of their pods. I've only just noticed how full and swollen and ready for some sort of culinary delight they are. I'm going to follow a recipe that I saw here on YouTube, see if I can't make something tasty from these broad beans. Otherwise, I am taking the most amount of joy from my tiny little curly horseshoe-shaped cucumber developing. I've had a couple of strawberries already, plenty of salad, more chard than I know what to do with. And there are lots of peas to harvest too. The roses that I did plant rather ambitiously in a container, again because I don't want to dig, and it was the best option I could come up with, are looking amazing, despite the fact that they were covered in what I assume are aphids last week. There are so many buds on this plant and the colour. Honestly, I could spend hours just having conversations with the flowers in the garden. The honeysuckle is climbing so very high. I feel like had I provided more room, she would have gone even further. And I really enjoy watching things grow vertically. When it comes to providing support for the plants, I've used really simple materials, bamboo canes and garden string. I've really enjoyed this part of the process, creating mini structures. And I rather like the aesthetic that it gives too. Other wonderful news to report is that the cucamelon, the one seed that has survived thus far, made it this far, is showing signs of growth. Slowly but surely. She's going to have to get a wiggle on or she's going to run out of room in that basket that I think is being overrun by, I'm not even sure what this flower is. This might be lobelia? Could well be lobelia. At this point, I am not sure because let's be honest, I didn't label my seeds very well. This week, the garden has also been an integral part of celebrating my son's 12th birthday by providing ample room for this fantastic inflatable surprise. And I am still relishing in watching her bloom and develop and transform before my eyes on a daily basis, provide me with gifts and respond to my love and care. My garden provides me with the most amount of poetry. Super inspiring. I've been writing poetry all my life, but the garden has given me an abundance of material. I just find the whole thing very spiritual and moving. There are so many lessons that the garden has to show us, and when I am outside and I am pottering, I wonder if there is anywhere else in the world that I could be that would be more nourishing to my soul. I hope you are all taking care of yourselves this full moon and summer solstice. Happy summer solstice to you all. So how about you? Do you find that the moon affects your emotions too? Do you notice? Do you have any routines and rituals? For me, I like to just honour the feeling. I'm trying to learn to accept feelings that are less than joyful. In order to just accept myself in all my glory, the way that I accept the garden in all of hers. So just a reminder to go easy on yourselves. Thank you so much for being here with me this week. Blessings to you all. I'll see you next week.